9 days ago, Blade and Sorcery had a big update called U9. U9 claims that the issue with high levels of lag when enemies spawn has been fixed and that the game consumes less system memory overall. Let's see if this is actually true by comparing it to the video I did on Blade and Sorcery on August 31st, 2020. I'm using OBS and recording at 1920 by 1080 at 30 FPS, and I'm using MSI Afterburner to record the stats. The only difference between this benchmark and the one I did before is that I have a better cooler now, but I don't think that'll make much difference. However, when I first benchmarked it, I was using the lowest settings possible to try and reduce the lag as much as possible, whereas when I benchmarked it with the U9 update, I had 4 times anti-aliasing, higher textures and better shadows on. In the August 2020 benchmark, which I'll now call before, I first went to Citadel, so I went to Citadel first in the U9 update benchmark as well. So let's compare first loading in. In U9 it did feel stuttery and laggy, but I later fixed it due to turning physics to low. The game is using about 12 GB of RAM and all my VRAM. In the U8.3 version of the game, it's using 11 GB of RAM and slightly less VRAM for some reason. However, the stutter is much worse and constant. So, before the U9 update there was constant lag. That showed also in the recording. The FPS was always 40 and under. So here, when there are no characters in front of me, they're spawning and there's no FPS drops, until many enemies appear next to me and the FPS drops to around 40. In the next map, the before benchmark was pretty laggy and stuttery, and you can see that as soon as enemies start spawning, the FPS drops to about 40. Also, you can see that about 13 gigs of RAM is being used and 5.5 gigabytes of VRAM is being used. After the U9 update, the game feels smooth while running on much higher settings with much less stutter. I'd say that this update is what the game needed, and the reduced amount of stutter makes the game far better. Also, in the updated version you can see that it's using about 3 GB less RAM and about 1 GB less VRAM, even though I'm on the high texture settings, and before I was not. This is all for today's video. Thank you for watching. I post every 1 PM GMT on Sunday, and I'll see you next week.